Good evening and welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas G. In a dramatic turn of events that could mark the beginning of the end for the long-running Maoist insurgency in India, senior Maoist commanders Tippiri Tirupati, widely known as Devji, have surrendered to the Telangana police. Now, this marks a severe blow to the now dwindling leadership structure of the banned Communist Party of India Maoists. Remember, this development comes well ahead of Indian government's March 31st deadline to dismantle red terror across the country. A deadline that the Home Ministry officials had set as a target for a decisive reduction in insurgent activity.
There are 11 cadres still remaining underground who are natives of Telangana, and that includes Ganapati also, Muppala Lakshman Rao alias Ganapati also. The remaining 10, among the remaining 10, only 1 or 2 are active cadres. The rest are all not very active, and I've already given the appeal, already made an appeal to them to come out and lay down arms and come out in the open. There's nothing left in the party now, nothing left in the movement now. So the movement which began in Telangana is now almost at the end of its run in Telangana.
Considered one of the highest-ranking leaders of the banned Communist Party of India Maoists, the 62-year-old Devji, who spent 44 years underground, surrendered along with 4 more leaders. At a press conference, Devji said it wasn't just for himself that he took the decision, but have decided to work within the legal framework and adopt political life.
मतलब कोई भी पूछ सकते इतना लंबा समय के बाद मैंने क्यों ये निर्णय लिया, तो बहुत ही संक्षेप में बताना है तो कुछ बीमारियों के चलते मैंने ये निर्णय लिया, लेकिन आगे जाके जनता की समस्या के लिए कानून की दायरा में मतलब लीगल फ्रेमवर्क में काम करूंगा। तो इसका मतलब इसे मैं ये बताना चाहता हूं कि मैंने आगे जाके भी आइंदा भी पॉलिटिकल लाइफ ही मैंने मतलब राजनीतिक जिंदगी ही मैं बिताऊंगा करके, और इसके साथ साथ मैंने दशकों से जो विचारधारा को माना, उसको गाइडेंस के लेकर काम किया, उसी विचारधारा को लेकर ही मैंने काम करूंगा, वही मतलब लीगल फ्रेमवर्क में ही।
Let's now take a look at how the Naxal hierarchy, from the most wanted leaders to regional operatives, has crumbled over the past few years. There is, of course, Tippiri Tirupati. This is a person who has now surrendered. We're talking about Devji. We're talking about Basav Raju, senior supreme commander of the CPI, Maoist killed in Chhattisgarh. Vivek Chandra Yadav, alias Prayag, killed in Jharkhand. Ramchandra Reddy, alias Chalapati, killed in Chhattisgarh. And Kunjam Hidma in Odisha, who's also been arrested. Now, this is, of course, some of the biggest faces of the Maoist leadership who have, of course, seen their fate evolving in this particular manner. Let's also take a look at the year-wise report card of action against red terror on ground. In 2025, 90 have been killed, 104 have been arrested, and the ones who've surrendered are 164. Now, this is as far as March of that year is concerned. In 2024, the numbers killed were 290. Arrested were 1,090, surrendered were at 881. In the year 2023, we saw 380 Maoists killed, 1,194 arrested, and 1,045 who have surrendered. Now, this is, of course, as far as the actual action on ground is concerned. Is this a sustained campaign that has led to this kind of a result? Debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 10. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us for more, we have Tuin Sina, national spokesperson of BJP. We have Major General Dhruv Katoch, director of India Foundation. With us is Royden Roach, political analyst. Dr. John Dayal is a human rights activist with us. Also with us is Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst. Let me start with you first. Dr. John Dayal, this is a sustained campaign against the Maoists, which we've seen over the last several years. Many killed. There are those who have surrendered as well, and several of them who have been arrested. The government will say that it has, been able to, through a sustained campaign, ensure the end of Maoism.
No, the government action, the military action, the police action has been consistent and very strong over the last 4 or 5 years. There is no gainsaying that. That's the truth. But here also is an example how negotiations, discussions, persuasions in Telangana have succeeded in a large number of more senior people coming up and surrendering, rather than in Chhattisgarh, where you're either killed or you get killed. So I would still say that the best way is to persuade people, negotiate with them, and ask them to lay down their arms. Armed struggle in this age and time is not the answer. It's for government and social agencies to ensure that the circumstances are such that people never need to take up arms to get basic facilities, to get food. What were these people fighting for?
You want to respond to that, Tuin Sinha? That, of course, there has been police action, there has been military action, but what about the basics in terms of the impact that it has on people's lives? Respond to Dr. John Dayal.
Well, good evening, Madhav. Good evening, everybody. We are on the cusp of a very historic success, Naxal-free Bharat. You know, in the last 49 years, Naxalism started in Naxal Bari on 3rd March 1967. It has killed 15,000 people. And the problem with UPA, one of the reasons why Naxalism had peaked in 2010, when more than 1,000 people were killed in a single year, was because they refused to see it as a national security problem, as a terrorism problem. And we are very clear that while we are extremely concerned about human rights, we are concerned about the human rights of the sufferers, of the victims of terror. We are not concerned about the human rights of the terrorists. Those dreaded Naxals who have been killed in the last 8 or 10 months, which includes Hidma, which includes today's surrender, either killed or surrendered, have been some of the most dreaded terrorists who have been involved in 2010, attack on CRPF Jawans, which killed nearly 75 people, as well as the train attack in the same year, which killed 148 people. To have mercy for them is the typical hallmark of Congress party, but I think, the sufferers, and 15,000 people have been killed. And, imagine the son of ex-CM of Jharkhand, Babulal Marandi's son, Anup Marandi, had been a victim. He had been killed by Naxals. And till date, Babulal Marandi regrets that he could not do anything about it. So, we are not here to be concerned about the human rights of terrorists. We are concerned about the human rights of the 15,000 people who have been killed and whose relatives still continue to suffer. For them, Naxal Mukt Bharat is finally a closure. It is final justice.
For the victims, of this Naxal violence at the end of the day, Tehseen Poonawalla, this is a huge closure, says the BJP. And they also say that this shows the resolve of our government in resolving this issue. Because we've seen, for instance, former Home Minister Shivraj Patil used terms such as Hamare Naxal Bhai. And we've all seen the impact. The entire state leadership of Chhattisgarh was wiped out in the Jhiram Ghati attack. There are dozens of soldiers in various attacks who have been killed. The point is, the previous regime was very soft, is what the BJP is saying. We've been able to deliver because of our strong approach. Your response to Tuin?
Thank you, Madhav. Thank you for having me on the show. At the onset, thank you, Major Dhruv, for your services to the nation. We are secure because of people like you and your services to the nation. So thank you, sir. 2 or 3 issues. If Tuhin was a cricketer, he would be a spin bowler. Because he spun so much, it's almost like a web of lies rather than a googly. Look, let's understand one thing. First, Tuhin says, oh, the surrender is a Congress policy. No, the policy under which even the Telangana government really surrendered, the DGP came, is a union government policy. I've said this earlier on the show, Karnataka has had the most number of surrenders in Telangana. These are the biggest leaders who have surrendered. But this is not approved. No, it's not approved only by the chief minister. It may be the Telangana police that works and gets them to surrender, but it's also approved by the union ministry. That's just the way it works. Chhattisgarh, I don't need lectures from the BJP. I lost my entire top leadership in Chhattisgarh. Laid down their lives. So please, I don't need lectures from them. And I'm very happy these incidents have come down. Since the peak in 2010, we are almost down to few districts, few pockets where you have these right-wing extremism that's there. But let's look at numbers and data. What enabled this? This is a consistent policy from 2006, from the Forest Rights Act in 2006. I remember meeting John Dayal there, where we were talking about this. Dr. John Dayal, we were talking about this. The Forest Rights Acts, various other legislation giving the tribals their right. Various governments have worked together, various state governments have worked together to ensure that these forest dwellers do not need to be go to these naxals. They get economic progress, and the fruits of economic progress of India goes down to them. So it's a sustained effort of the union government, both UP and NDA, as well as the state governments. Now, one more thing, please. Today, while the BJP takes credit for the Maoism and Naxalism coming down, and I give them credit for that, what about left-wing violence that has increased, particularly in Manipur, Arunachal? You are saying that you don't want to talk to terrorists. I completely agree with you. But yet you have an Naxal, you have an accord with Nagaland, which you haven't yet made public with the Naga insurgents. Where is that? The Tripura Liberation Front, as of today, as of this minute, even today on its charter, has a separate state outside the Union of India. You were in an alliance with them in the previous government. Okay. You've been talking to them. So please don't come on channel and say we will not do this.
I'm going to let Tuhin respond to that. You made 3 or 4 points. Let Tuhin respond to that. Now, Tuhin.
First of all, I think Tehseen had heard me wrong. I never said surrender was a Congress policy. I said they fundamentally refuse to see Naxalism as a national security problem. That was the main problem, policy problem of the UPA era, because of which they were given a very long run. Now, when Tehseen says that, their top leadership in Chhattisgarh were wiped out, it is only and only the Congress party to blame, and I will tell you why. Mahinder Karma, who was a member of the Congress party, who was a leader of opposition in Chhattisgarh, had led the Salwa Judum movement. You know who sullied the Salwa Judum movement? Sonia Gandhi, when she appointed people like Dr. Binayak Sen as a member of the Planning Commission, when she appointed people like Harsh Mandar with very overt pro-Marxist leanings as member of the NAC. This is how they weakened and let down their own leadership. So please don't give lectures over here. And when you talk about the Northeast, you are calling Manipur left-wing extremism. What are you talking today? It's an ethnic problem which has existed for many decades. But yes, it's extremely unfortunate that it resurfaced 3 years back, and we finally, have combated it. But it's not.
May I answer that?
It's an ethnic.
Okay, quick response. There are 2 guests who have not even spoken yet, but quick 30-second response.
I'll be very quick. In Chhattisgarh, when the Congress lost its entire top leadership, Raman Singh was the chief minister. In fact, Mrs. Gandhi and the Congress top leadership flew down to Chhattisgarh, and then the chief secretary and home secretary, reported by Times Now, offered to resign for the state intelligence failure. This is on record. Come on, Tuhin. I don't expect this from you. Second thing, look, at the end of the day, all governments have spoken. It was Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. I'm quoting Times Now, where he said the biggest problem India has is Naxal problem, and we need to get rid of it. It's a bigger problem than Pakistan today.
Yes, but the point is, Tehseen, while the Prime Minister may have said that, many of his ministers and party colleagues had very different views. But let me bring in other panelists now. Major Dhruv Katoch, you're somebody. Please allow the other panelists. The general has not even spoken. Major Dhruv Katoch, simple question. How do we know that this is the end of Naxalism? Are we jumping the gun a bit? Because how do we know the various splinter groups, all those who've not been captured so far, are not going to regroup in, say, a few years and try and carry out further attacks?
Thank you, Madhav. Madhav, fundamentally, because I've studied this now for about 30 years, this particular problem, this entire Naxal belt, and I've actually gone into all those difficult areas in the time when they were difficult. It is, generally it is said that it is a tribal problem because all these Naxals were in the tribal areas, but it has never been a tribal problem. The tribals had their problems, yes. It's been an ideological problem fomented by certain groups. And because that fundamental thing was not understood, there is an ideology behind it. The ideology was not to say that the tribals are not, that the tribal should be given ABC. The ideology was you want to plant the red flag over the red fort. It was a whole of government approach. They wanted to change the government in India. Now, that was the fundamental basis of this. And they operated in these jungles because they were, there was no access. So we didn't develop those areas. Yes, that is a flaw since independence onwards. If those areas had been developed, perhaps the Naxals wouldn't have got a base. Now, basically what has happened now, especially with the latest surrender of Devji fellow, that the ideological cadre in the jungles has been broken. That is a given. and it will take them a very, very long time if they wish to start again to resurrect that. Number two, I think, it is in 2024 that basically the crux of it was broken. 2025, they really they mopped up, and now it is a cleaning operation. They've got a very small strength left now. And because there's a very strong strength left, there are about 300 odd cadres. And I think a fight is going on right now as far as those cadres are concerned. I have a feeling that this problem will be eliminated and it'll be difficult for them to regroup. I understand. I was one of the naysayers actually when the Home Minister made the statement, because every time we make the statement that the problem is over, it comes back again. But this time I'm getting the confidence, especially now, that this problem is over, or it will be over very shortly. And it is something which we should celebrate. Okay. It has been a whole of government approach, the states, the administration, and the security forces. Okay. I think all of them have done a remarkable job in getting together, in getting this back.
Okay, let me bring in Royden Roach on that note. It's a whole of government approach, the states, the centre, everyone working in tandem. Point number one, Royden Roach. And point number two that's being highlighted is the fact that there are over 2,000 surrenders that we've seen since the year 2024. And that's a very, very significant number, because very clearly it appears that either A, they've lost support of the tribals at large, or it is the fruits of development, roads, etc. that have now come into those areas, which are forcing people to perhaps shun this ideologically when it comes to Naxalism.
Well, good evening, Madhav. Thanks for having me on the show. See, when we talk about Naxalism, to tell you the fact is I grew up in an area, in a place where we had everyday kidnapping, everyday issues happening every day. I come from that area which is very, very densely populated, nationalite, and to the heavy area. But today when we look at it, if you look at the government, especially the Telangana government now, they have given a lot of benefits now to the tribal areas. Land for the agriculture, development is happening a lot for tribals. So that makes a lot of difference at the moment what we're looking at. And one more thing is, you look at the state government, the way the approach they are going towards Naxals, trying to bring them in and asking them, talking to them, telling them that if you want to fight, come and fight out legally. Be a part of the system. That's the way they're educating them and trying to bring them into the limelight. So that makes a lot of difference when you talk about how the government is trying to work, how it's working out. And especially Revant he has given an open statement even recently also, and he had a discussion with the CPI, CPM and all. So ask them to come out, ask them to come, and we are there to look after them and let them come and fight for the tribals. Because see, there's no more, you can't have a warfare anymore. You have to come out and go legal if you want to fight it. And they have the options. Like they've given them open access to the political scenario. So
what's wrong with that? Why could this not have been done earlier?
Because see, again, it depends on the Chief Minister, the way his approach is going. You can see the Revant Reddy now, the way he's approaching the Naxals. You see, though Chhattisgarh has a better benefit, but people, why they're coming to Telangana? Because even they have a safe way to come out of it. Like in Chhattisgarh, even the last time, they said a surrender, and after they were attacked and killed. So that shouldn't have happened. So that's why they have it.
So there's a difference in approach of the state governments of Telangana, the state government of Chhattisgarh, and that's why there are more Naxalites surrendering there in Telangana. Tuhin, you want to take that question?
Could you repeat, please?
Royden Roach just said that in Telangana, the policy of the state government in terms of the surrender is far better. In Chhattisgarh, we've seen incidents where people have surrendered and then they have died or they've been killed. And therefore, there are Naxals who are preferring to surrender in Telangana. The credit should be given to Chief Minister there, is Royden Roach's argument. Respond to that.
No, we have had a very transparent, a very unambiguous policy. We are always encouraging surrenders. But yes, if they are not surrendering, then we are not giving them any concession. We are not giving them any leeway. But then, yes, the first option is for them to surrender, and we accept the surrender. In fact, if you travel across Chhattisgarh, if you travel across Madhya Pradesh, the affected areas of Madhya Pradesh, you will find massive rehabilitated, a very large number of rehabilitated Naxals. Some of them are running canteens. Some of them are into farming. So we have taken special care to ensure that anybody who wants to surrender is encouraged, and we have promised a fresh life to rehabilitate them. But yes, in such cases where it was where we eventually deduced that surrender was a deception, and they could have attacked the security forces. The security forces were given a free run to go after them.
Okay, it's the free run that has been given to the defense forces. Okay, Rodin wants to respond to you.
See, I would like to tell my friend one thing he has to be clear on. It was very evident when the last time during the surrender, after the surrender also some of the people who were still coming into surrender were attacked and they were captured a day before that and they were killed. So that doesn't show the access of it. And one thing you have to understand, the Naxals also are fighting for a cause. Okay, it's better to have a dialogue with them and bring them out of it. And that's what's happening now.
What cause? No, what is the cause? When you pick up the gun against the Constitution of India, Royden Roads, this is the whole problem. You're picking up the gun against the Constitution of India.
I'll tell you, there are
what is the justification for that?
When women are raped and there's no action taken, who has to take the step then? Who will take? There's somebody who has
Fight
to
it
take
out
step.
legally, sir.
And
any crime, as reprehensible as the ones you are mentioning are, you have to fight it out legally.
Educated in and ask them to come forward. And the government.
They say you support this kind of an argument?
Platform.
That if brutal crimes happen, who will support them? He's virtually justifying picking up the gun.
Can I please make my
See, it is now the Telangana government is given an open platform to fight against it legally.
No, but what you said, that's a separate point. What you said earlier is highly objectionable, sir. In today's day and age, in the year 2026, you are justifying picking up the gun. That is something that is very problematic.
I was talking about previously. I'm not talking presently. I'm not talking presently. I'm talking about the previous situation. But now it's changed.
Sir, you just said what you said. You just said that if the Naxals have a cause, you just justified that by taking the example of heinous crimes against women, and therefore you have to talk to them. Has this government talked to them? Who has talked to them now?
Talking about the present situation.
Who has talked to them now?
What I mentioned was of the earlier situation.
Sir, who has talked to them now? You tell me.
You had, no, 1 minute. You had everyone who were very well educated. You have doctors, you have engineers, everyone who were there in Naxalism. Okay, today, okay,
so that justifies it. How does that matter?
But
Madhav, can I please come in?
Because
so tomorrow other forms of terrorists, Islamic terrorists will say, or those in the northeast might say that there are doctors and engineers. Does that justify picking up the gun in any civilized society?
96, 97, in the 90s.
Testing, do you agree with this kind of argument? Because I find this highly objectionable. We're talking about the end and the decline of Maoism, and here is somebody justifying picking up the gun.
Please shut Royden's leader. Look, Osama bin Laden was an engineer. The Red Fort bomb blasts recently were done by doctors. Only the state of India has a monopoly on violence. Nobody else has. No matter what your issue, there is no justification to pick up weapons against the state. You can talk to about every issue within the Constitution of India. But the minute you want something outside the Constitution of India or a territory outside the Constitution of India, there is only two ways. Either you come back within or you go up to heaven or hell, wherever you believe you want to go to. That is the policy, and I'm sorry, that will be the policy of the Union of India and every single state. You fire at my armed forces, state or central, and you will get back 1 billion bullets. Each that will put you back, send you to your graves. So you talk to us and surrender, like you did in Telangana. No violence except for the state. Only the state has a monopoly on violence, period. Let's be clear on this.
Royden Roach, respond. Do you take back your comments that you just made?
No, what he said, we are talking about the same thing. I'm also on the same line with him. There's no doubt. I'm talking about the earlier years. We are talking about the earlier years when the Naxals were there and they were very aggressive. But now they are toned down because of the approach of the government also.
Sir, what has changed between earlier years and now? You're saying the Naxals are fighting for a cause. Has that cause suddenly become justified earlier?
No, they have a cause. They have a cause.
So what is this cause?
They have a cause.
What is this cause if you're picking up the gun? In a democracy, are we going to go by the rule of ballot or bullet? You tell me, Royden Roach.
Look at what happened to the tribals during those days.
They want to throw out the Indian constitution. How can you justify that on national television?
The women were raped on the tribals. The men were just slaughtered. People were picked up from the houses. Those were the days were different, and now it's completely different. So you can't compare what happened.
No. Royden Roach, I will just say something. Certainly, security forces also have to follow a certain set of protocols. There's the NHRC. There are courts, etc. to look at that. But in no way can you justify the kind of violence that has taken place previously. But Tuin Sira wants to respond to you. Tuin.
Madhav, I'm glad that somebody on your show has displayed a very distinct, urban Naxal mindset, because that brings me to the second part of this war. You know, if Naxalism has survived for 5 decades in India, it is only because of the oxygen provided by urban Naxals. And I will give you one specific instance. You know, in 2010, when in April and May, there were back-to-back attacks when CRPF, 75 Jawans of CRPF were killed and 150 train passengers were killed. You know, urban Naxals in JNU were celebrating that murder, that butchery. So when I listen to a similar, you know, when I listen to a voice in your show which has a distinct soft corner for Naxals, you know, that only confirms my belief that this is only one part of the war. The second part of the war will be to deal with these urban Naxals who have allowed Naxalism to survive in India for the last 5 decades.
You want to come in on that, John Dayal? Because at the end of the day, you know, how can you have, you know, he says the problem is the mindset, and the mindset that is depicted by quote-unquote urban Naxals.
What utter crap is this? May I answer?
Yes, floor is yours. Language, please.
What is this crap about urban Naxals? And what is this threat? We'll come after you now having finished the Naxals by the bullet. Please give development to that area. Please give them peace so that they can develop and democratize themselves. Don't give them threats. And supporting the poor, supporting the weak, supporting this totally disenfranchised is not urban Naxalism.
Sir, but may I ask you a question? Who is the one who blocked, you know, this kind of development over there? Was it the Naxals who were busy blowing up roads, blowing up our soldiers in Dantewada, in multiple attacks that have taken place?
This is the chicken and egg syndrome.
What is the chicken and egg syndrome? You pick up the gun against the state and you expect the state not to react.
Why did development not go there from the day of independence? Why did it not go there?
Why did it not go there? Okay.
Who stopped it?
I can answer that question. Let General Dhruv Katoch come in on this. General Dhruv Katoch.
Right. You know, one of the reasons why development didn't go to the tribal areas, and this is recorded, please, it was because at that time in the early 50s, the view was let the tribals live in their splendid isolation. I don't want to make it into a political statement, but this was there. Let them live like that. But the second point is, you know, which I want to give the way this debate is going, the Naxals were never interested in the tribals. I mean, I haven't understood why people don't get that fundamental point. Because they were pushed out from West Bengal, they moved into the tribal area to get sanctuary. And there they kept the tribals under captivity. The tribals have been liberated now. They had no option. And any time when any development was tried to put through into those tribal areas, the schools were burned down, the roads were destroyed. Everything was done by the Naxals to prevent them. They wanted them captives. Now that freedom has come in because the government has penetrated. Basically, Madhav, I would like to put this. It was a very simple idea. It was an idea between the Naxal ideology to plant the red flag over the red fort and rule by the gun, or the idea of Indian democracy. It has taken 60 years for the idea of Indian democracy to win. And I think all of us, all political parties must celebrate this. We, the people of India, must celebrate this. We have liberated those people. We have given a second life to the tribals. It is a great achievement. And all of us collectively, from the political establishment, the center and the states, the administration of the respective states, and especially the security forces, they have done a tremendous job, and we should be proud of it.
Answer that. Dr. John Dayal, this whole business of protecting the tribals was just a false bogey, says General Dhruv Katoch, because, you know, at the end of the day, this was just sanctuary after they ran away from West Bengal. Answer that.
The general is a general. He thinks like a general. He speaks like a general. I'm not quarreling with him at all. But I would differ in saying that the Maoists came into these regions just for the shelter. As Tessin pointed out earlier, the insurgencies all over the Northeast. People find these things safe not because of the forest or the tiger, because the local people will not give them away. That is part of the deal. Otherwise, why they can, if he's talking urban sector, they can come and terrorize any village and live there. That's why the dacoits used to be there till Jayaprakash and others came and got them out of the ravines. This is not just in isolation. Surrenders have taken place and ended small mutinies in many other places. Surrenders after negotiations, surrenders after assurances, and most strongly, surrenders after an understanding or a belief that you will honor your word. You must honor your word. The state must always honor its word.
So who's not honoring their word? If they're surrendering and they're allowed to do so, what is the problem? Let me bring in Tuhin Sinha, because Tuhin Sinha, you were objecting to his comments when he was talking particularly about urban Naxals. Tuhin.
No, I have just posted on X a video of Gogunda village in Sukma district, which has received electricity for the first time after 78.5 years after independence. Why? Because previous governments in the country very happily abandoned those areas, not wanting to enter into conflict zones. Nehru used to say, let Northeast be left behind, because, he used to attribute it to the tyranny of distance. I don't know what he would have attributed, the tyranny of distance in tribal areas. But tribal areas were abandoned by successive Congress governments. They did not have the aptitude, they did not have the caliber to resolve these issues. How have things, improved in the last 12 years? Because basic governance has reached the poorest of the poor, whether it is banking, which includes the Jan Dhan Yojana, which was the first one of the first schemes of the Modi government, which included financial inclusion, or whether it is sanitation, where most of the unsanitized areas were tribal areas. So all of these have enabled governments to reach the poorest of the poor. And of course, today we have reached a stage where, DBT ensures that even the poorest of poor, thanks to the financial inclusion, get the remittances on time. So this is what has given the tribal population a sense of belonging, which was lacking 12 years ago. In previous governments, especially the Congress governments, were very happy to abandon the tribal areas because, like I said, they did not have the mettle, they did not have the caliber to resolve those issues.
Tehseen.
2010 is spent. If you actually want to see the number of Maoists killed under UPA versus NDA, current 2010 to 2014, 2014 to 24 is 2,500 in UPA, 10 to 14, and 3,014 to 24. And they also went after it when it spiked in 2010. But look, here's the fact. Why did Maoism and Naxalites lose support amongst the tribals? Because as the major rightly said, as General Saab rightly said, that at no point were these Naxals supporting the local population. In fact, there are several stories, including by Times of India, how the kith and kin of these Naxals lived in luxury. Madhav, you know how difficult it is to get a flat in Delhi or Mumbai. Their kids had flats in Delhi, Mumbai, living a lavish lifestyle. So the people, they never fought for these people. There is no ideology they believed in. They were used to extorting money. And as somebody who in the past has done business in Nagaland, I understand how this works. There's almost like a tax system coming in. These people have to now come within the constitution, and this is the way it works.
One thing is certain that the surrender that we've seen over the last 2 years, there is something that has huge numbers and response in terms of 2,000 of the Naxalites who have surrendered. Will there be a lasting peace following this? That's going to be the big question. And is this a permanent end to the Naxal problem? That's a very, very important question that perhaps we're looking at. Historic moment, says Tuhin Sinha. Will that hold out is a big question. Tuhin Sinha, Major General Dhruv Katoj, Royden Roach, Dr. John Dayal, Tehseen Poonawala, thanks so much for joining us.